Students, let me introduce the structure of human female reproductive system, and in this video we will learn about the how to draw the human female reproductive system, and later I will explain you. This one is the ovary and this one is the finger like projection known as fimbriae. Fimbriae help to trap the ova. This one is the fimbriae. So in each side there is a single ovary are located. It means overall one pair of ovary and one pair of oviduct in each side of the human female reproductive system. It is very easy to draw. This one is the endometrium wall of uterus. In class 10th you have also draw it, but it is actually in the elaborate form of that. This one is the ovarian ligament, similar to the ligament as you have learned in class 11th. That is ovarian ligament, which help to attach the each ovary in each side to the main reproductive part of human female reproductive system. This one is the typical part of uterus known as uterine fundus, and it is a dome shaped structure, somehow the dome shaped structure. And this one is the uterine cavity. It is from the important duct known as uterus. This one is the isthmus. Isthmus is the first part of oviduct or fallopian tube. This one is the ampulla. Isthmus and ampulla form the site of fertilization. This one is the broader infundibulum close to the fimbriae. The isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum form the oviduct or fallopian tube. This one is the finger like projection known as fimbriae, which help to trap the ova at the time of ovulation. This is the ovary, the left ovary, and this one is the right ovary. And each ovary is linked with the main reproductive part through the ovarian ligament. It is in each side of the human female reproductive system. Now back to the different wall layer of human female reproductive system. This one is the thick muscular layer of human uterus, that is female uterus. Now back to the labeling of different wall layer. This one is the inner layer, middle layer, and that is the outer layer. When you make the labeling from outside, the inner layer will be the third point, that will be the endometrium. Second middle layer is known as myometrium, and third outermost layer is the perimetrium. Now back to the next. This middle part of the lower uterus is cervix, and this tube like structure is known as cervical canal, and this one is the external genitalia known as mons pubis. This one is the genital aperture, that is actually termed as the vagina. The cervical canal along with the vagina form the birth canal, and mons pubis and genital aperture are actually the external genitalia. This one is the different wall layer of ovary. Now back to the explanation of each and every part of human female reproductive system. Students, now we are going to describe the human female reproductive system. It is under the human female reproductive system, and one by one we will describe about the each and every points regarding the human female reproductive system. And this is the overall diagram, and one by one we will categorize the whatever the exact topics and their systematic orders. Now back to the categorization of overall human female reproductive system in order to make your study easier. That is, first points will be primary sex organ. Primary sex organ. Do you know the primary sex organ of human female reproductive system? Good. The ovary. Ovary is primary sex organ, and second is secondary sex organ. Secondary sex organ. Secondary sex organ is actually organs that do not participate in the process of gametogenesis, but play very important role during the reproduction process. And primary sex organs are those organs that directly participate in the gametogenesis. That is, in case of human male reproductive system, the primary sex organs are actually perform the process of spermatogenesis like testis, and in case of female reproductive system, the primary sex organs are actually ovary that participate in oogenesis, that is formation of ova. Now back to the categorization of secondary sex organs. Listen carefully. Secondary sex organs may be accessory duct, accessory duct, accessory gland, keep in mind, that is accessory duct, accessory gland, and third one is external genitalia, external genitalia. Now back to the accessory duct. Listen carefully. Basically the accessory duct of human female reproductive system is, first one is oviduct. Oviduct, it is commonly known as fallopian tube, and as you know that the part of human female reproductive system, that is isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum, collectively known as oviduct. Now back to the second important duct, that is known as uterus. Uterus is one of the most important duct for the human female reproductive system. And third one is the cervical canal. The cervical canal, that is this canal system is cervical canal, this one is the uterus, and this one is the fallopian tube. Now fourth one is the vagina. Many books vagina are actually given in form of external genitalia, but it is the accessory duct. So it is very important, third and fourth, that is cervical canal and vagina collectively form the birth canal. It is your homework regarding what called birth canal. The cervical canal and vagina collectively called as birth canal. Now back to the accessory gland. Accessory gland. Actually basic accessory gland are for in case of human female reproductive system is the mammary gland. Mammary gland. Everything regarding mammary glands is in your syllabus, but it is not important. Basically may be asked or hardly asked in the examination, but for the mammary glands you have a homework regarding page number, move the page number 46 of NCERT for the full diagram. Listen carefully, the diagram and explanation. The diagram and explanation is very essential regarding the accessory gland. Accessory gland. So back to the external genitalia. External genitalia. Actually the basic external genitalia is mons pubis. Mons pubis. Second one is labia majora. Third, labia minora. Fourth one is the hymen, and fifth one is the clitoris. Keep in mind, mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen and clitoris are basically external genitalia, and it is available in page number 46 NCERT. You can do regarding this. I think this is not very essential, and before previous examination rarely asked, but few of them is very important, like hymen and mons pubis. It is in 2 marks question, many times asked. Mons pubis is the cushion like fatty layers over the external genitalia. It is cushion like fatty layer over the external genitalia. Hymen enclose the vagina at the earlier stage, but later it become breast. Keep in mind. And clitoris, labia majora, labia minora will be in the page number 46. So all regarding the external genitalia, second that is accessory duct. One by one we will describe about the accessory duct and primary sex organ, but external genitalia and accessory glands it is your homework, and stepwise after the primary sex organ you have to write it. Now back to full explanation of the primary sex organ, ovary. Keep in mind, ovary is the primary sex organs of human body. It is primary sex organs of human body. Second one is, it is actually oval shape and measuring about 2 to 3 centimeter in length. 2 to 3 centimeter in length. It is single pairs, that is found in the human body, one pair. Keep in mind, and it attached by the ovarian ligament on each side of the body. It located in abdominal region, in abdominal region, near to the kidney, near to kidney. Keep in mind, that is the overall actually external features and morphology location of ovary. And now back to the internal structure of ovary. Internal structure of ovary is very important regarding the class 12, but it is full explanation of gametogenesis, it will be clear. But before gametogenesis there is the little bit knowledge about the ovary, that is internal structure or anatomy of ovary. Suppose that this is the ovary. When milk the tears, there will be internal structures appears, and it is externally encoded by the germinal epithelial. The single layer of epithelial tissues are known as germinal epithelium. Why germinal epithelium? Because it able to form the gametes. That is very essential. Why germinal epithelium? Because germinal is related for the germination. Germination is related to the gametogenesis in the ovary. So outer layer is actually envelope, and that is actually from the germinal epithelium. That is the outer layer, that is known as germinal epithelium. Germinal epithelium. And all inner layer except germinal epithelium, that is throughout the external inner layer or inner filled cavity or inner filled mass is known as the stroma. So basic part of ovary is, when you make the tears, is actually the germinal epithelium, outer layer, and inner incoated mass and having cavity is known as stroma. Stroma further divided into cortex and medulla. Let me describe the cortex and medulla. When you move inside, there will be a cortex. Keep in mind, that is the cortex. Cortex. And rest portion is called as medulla. And also you can see the blood vessels. This one is the blood vessels. So cortex, that is blood vessels. It is in short way, but you have to write it in full form, that is blood vessels. Now back to the next portion. This portion is known as stroma. Stroma is actually along with cortex and medulla. This one is the medulla. Medulla. So cortex and medulla collectively form stroma, and outer layer stroma is encoded by the germinal epithelium. Now back to the next portion, that is inside stroma. Inside stroma you have to write the primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, Graafian follicle, and having the ovulation. That is the different follicular cell. Follicular cell actually the earlier cells surrounded to the egg cells. This is the egg cells, immature, partial mature and full mature. And after maturity, the egg cells released out from the follicular cells outside from the body, outside from the ovary. That phenomenon is known as the ovulation. So this show ovulation, and that is actually the egg cell, and that is remain follicular cell. Remain follicular cells, which later packed. The remain follicular cells later packed. After release of ova, the remain follicular cells get packed, that form the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum, that is need to show inside the ovary. This one is the primary follicles. This one is the primary follicle. Primary follicle. What is primary follicle? Follicular cells along with the egg cells. Follicular cells along with the egg cells form primary follicles. If it will get mature, it form the secondary follicles, later then the tertiary follicles, and then the Graafian follicles. So in between it is suppose that it is the tertiary follicles and later same structures, but it will be in bigger in size for the tertiary follicles, but I have directly draw the Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle. Keep in mind, in between the secondary follicle and Graafian follicle there will be the tertiary follicle, but the structure will be same, but there will be in bigger size than the secondary follicles. But here there is no space, so I do not like to draw it. So after Graafian follicle there will be LH hormone secreted from the pituitary. Later it will be described, don't be panic. But after the maturity of Graafian follicle, the each follicular cells release the ova from the ovary. That process is known as ovulation, and then remain Graafian follicles, remain follicular cells along with the Graafian follicle get packed. This phenomenon, this special structure is known as corpus luteum. Corpus luteum later secrete the progesterone hormone, so that will be the additional features and additional functions of ovary. That is, not only ovary form the ova or egg cells, it also able to release the progesterone hormones and estrogen hormones that maintain the human female puberty features and also maintain the thickness of endometrium wall of uterus. That is the overall structure of the internal structure or steers of the ovary. In examination it may be asked as the sectional view of ovary. Sectional view of ovary, and that will be the very important, that may be very important for you. Now back to the next structure, that is next part of the human female reproductive system, that is actually the accessory duct. Now back to the accessory duct, listen carefully. That is the isthmus, ampulla and infundibulum. That will actually the first accessory duct, that is known as oviduct. Very important. Oviduct or fallopian tube. Listen carefully. It is measuring about 10 to 12 centimeter in length, and it is a pair. It is also from the left and right side, so it is also in pair. Now back to the next, it is main accessory duct, that consists, that is main part of this accessory duct, that is oviduct or fallopian tube. This consists the fimbriae, infundibulum, ampulla, isthmus. Keep in mind. Now one by one you have to write about the function of fimbriae, infundibulum, ampulla and isthmus. That is, fimbriae is actually finger like projection. You can see the finger like projection, that is known as fimbriae, and during the explanation it is actually explained. The fimbriae help to trap the ova that will release from the ovary. So the function and the structure is ovary. It is finger like projection that at the tip of infundibulum that help to trap the ova during the ovulation. Now back to the infundibulum. Infundibulum is the broader part and the typical part of oviduct that help to receive the ova from the fimbriae at the time of ovulation. Keep in mind. Now back to the ampulla. Ampulla carry the ova that is released out from the infundibulum to the isthmus. The isthmus and ampulla collectively form the site of fertilization. It is very important. Isthmus and ampulla collectively form the site of fertilization. That is isthmus ampullary junction. That actually known as isthmus ampullary junction. And it is very important. Many times in examination and students make a fault regarding the oviduct. That is, not all part of oviduct is well suited for the fertilization. Only the isthmus ampullary junction is suited for the fertilization. Now back to the next part, that is uterus. Uterus is actually the pear-shaped structure. That is inverted pear-shaped structure. Keep in mind. And the typical part of uterus consists the uterine fundus, and it should be in your notes. The typical part of uterus consists uterine fundus. Now back to the different layer of uterus. The different layer of uterus is very important. The layer of uterus is very important. It is the perimetrium. When you during the explanation it is clear, when you make the labeling from outside, there will be the first point perimetrium, second point myometrium, and third point endometrium. So here we begin from the explanation from the outside. The perimetrium, second one is the myometrium, and third one is endometrium. So perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium are actually the wall of uterus. First heading regarding the perimetrium. Perimetrium actually the outer protective layer. So basic function of perimetrium is outer protective layer. Now back to the myometrium. Myometrium help to the parturition. Parturition. What is parturition? The delivery of baby. Delivery of baby due to the very strong contractile muscle in them. That is very important. It is many times it is asked. It was actually asked in previous examination. So myometrium, function is of myometrium should be underlined and several stars for them. So it is actually it help in the parturition, means the delivery of baby. It is the middle layer and having the strong contractile muscle fibers in them. Now back to the endometrium, and you are well familiar with the wall of endometrium, that is form thick blood lining at the time of fertilization, and it provide the well suited environment for the attachment of ovary, for the attachment of embryo, that is actually nourish the baby, the growing baby. So that is overall structure of the different wall layer of uterus, that is perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. So different wall layer is over, and the external genitalia is over, external gland, it is your homework, and that is mammary gland, it is your homework in page number 46. So everything regarding is over regarding the human female reproductive system over. Now next topic will be the process of reproduction in human being. Thank you.